Hello everybody and welcome to episode 8 of Bite-Sized Azure. In this week's episode we're going to look at a relatively new feature within Azure AD, which is access packages. Now access packages allow administrators to create a bundle of permission sets and access requests for users to request access to. So in order to do that, we need to pop into the Azure portal and go into Azure AD. And from here, we want to select the Identity Governance menu on the left. And then when this blade loads up, we want to select Access Packages, which is at the top of the left-hand side menu. Now from here, you'd see all the access packages that you'd already created. Now on this tenancy, I haven't created any yet. So from here, we can go to create a new access package by clicking on the new menu button at the top. So from here, we can enter in the basic information, so name and description, and we can select what's called a catalog. Now, a catalog is a predefined grouping of users, applications, permission sets, etc. Now, I'm just going to select with the general one for this demo, which does make it a little bit more complicated as we go through, but I will probably go and do a demo later on about how to create a new catalog. So once we're happy with that, we can click on the next button and go and assign the resource roles. Now from here, we can start to add permissions or access to groups, applications, and SharePoint sites. And this is what I meant about being a little bit more complicated because we selected the general one, because there's no groups in the general catalog. So we have to select this checkbox here to see all groups outside of the general catalog. So from here, we can select the sales group, which is an empty group at the moment. We can then go and select an application. Oh, before we do that, we need to select the permission that we want to give users. Now we can select the application. And again, you'll notice there's nothing in there, so we have to select that checkbox. And again, because this is a brand new tenant, all that's here is actually the applications that we use to provision the demo tenants. So I'm not going to bother using that. So we'll close that down without selecting any applications. And we'll go and select a SharePoint site. Again, we have to click on the checkbox because there's nothing in the general catalog. But once we do that, we'll select the Contoso SharePoint site and then again give them a member role within that SharePoint site. Now we can select requests, and this is basically saying who can or request access to that package. So we're going to select the users in the directory, and we could just do it for users not in directory or for directly assigned permissions only. And we're just going to say all users, including guests. And now we've got an option to require approval. So this just kicks off a very basic approval workflow, which I'm not going to configure for this demo. It'll just add too many steps. But just note that you can do it. And then we're just going to enable this for new requests and go to requester information. Now this allows us to provide a little bit more information about why the user is requesting access. So we can set a number of different fields up here. I'm just going to enter a very simple short text field. I'm going to call it business unit. And I'm going to make this required. So when a user requests access, they have to fill in that field. Now we come onto the lifecycle piece. And again, this is about how you're managing this access package. So when do you want it to expire? Do you want people to have access reviews, for example? So if we just pop very quickly into the require access review, you'll see that it's very, very similar in a sense to the sort of standard workflow pieces. So again, give you a frequency, give you a start date, duration, etc., etc. Now we're not going to set that up because that would make the demo really quite long. So I'd have to come back in a week to see whether that access review has shown up, but we may well cover that off in a future video. Next option is for custom extensions. Now this is in preview, so I'm not going to cover this off in this video, but again, we may revisit this when that comes out of preview. And once we're happy with everything, we can then click on the create option at the bottom here. Now this process is actually quite quick to create in the background. And once it's finished, it will go into the actual access package information screen. Now, most of this is just the sort of default information, but the My Access Portal link here at the bottom right is actually really important because this is the URL that users access when they want to request the permissions that are being sort of controlled by that access package. So we're going to copy that. We're going to go into a in private browser session or an incognito browser session, and we're going to put that URL into the address bar. Now we're going to need to log in now as one of the users who is going to be requesting access. So I'm going to log in as Alex, give them the password. And select no on this one. I don't know why I bothered to put in don't show on this one because it's in private, so we'll always show it. Now this pops us into the Access Packages portal. And because we gave it a direct URL to the Sales Access Package, it's actually going to open up that request for us automatically. So there we've got the business unit field that we requested. So I'm just going to put sales in there. I can enter a business justification, but it's not a required field. And because I didn't toggle that flag for a specific period, it does allow me to say actually a start date and end date for this. So I'm going to leave that blank and just click on request access. Notice the green pop-up window there just saying it's being processed. And again, because this is a very simple process, there's no approval workflow behind it. This is actually going to go through straight away. And to validate that, we can pop into Azure AD, go to groups and find that group that we added into that access package, which was the sales users group. Okay, so this group was empty. When you come into the first screen, you'll see that actually the members count is now 1. But to validate that is actually the correct user, let's just go into the members view and we can see that Alex is in there as a member for that group. Now, to remove users, obviously we could do it from that screen and just remove that user, but we can also do it through the actual access package administration screen, for want of a better word. So to do that, we'll just need to go back to that and remember it's identity governance, then access packages. See that the sales access package is now on that list. So let's select that. Go to assignments, which is where you'll see all the people that have actually been assigned rights through this access package. And you'll see that Alex is sat there. And all we need to do now is go across to the ellipsis on the right hand side and click on remove access. And then just verify that we do want to remove access. And again, to validate that this has actually been processed, we just need to pop back into the Azure AD groups and see whether Alex is still within that sales users group. Probably should have put this in a separate tab so I could just refresh the page, but I didn't. So let's navigate to the sales users group. And you'll see that when this loads up, that the members count is 0. But again, just to validate that, we'll pop back into the members view and see that Alex is no longer there. So today we created a very simple access package. We logged in as a user and we requested access to the applications and groups, etc. that was in that access package. And then we removed the user from that said package. So I hope you found that useful. If you did, please drop a like in against the video or a comment in the comments field below. Alternatively, if you like this video and the other videos I've been producing, please feel free to subscribe to this channel and you'll get updated when there's a new release. Again, I hope you found that useful and thank you very much for watching.